Welcome to English Language Academy. The Moonlight Sorcerer's Curse, English Story Chapter 1, The Mysterious Village. Eleanor was a young girl who loved stories. She lived in a quiet village surrounded by deep forests. Every night, she would sit by the fire with her grandmother, listening to tales of magic, heroes, and dangerous curses. But there was one story her grandmother refused to tell. The tale of the Moonlight Sorcerer. One chilly evening, Eleanor's curiosity grew too strong. "Why won't you tell me about the Moonlight Sorcerer?" she asked. Her grandmother's face grew pale. "Some stories are better left told, my dear. He is not just a legend." That night, Eleanor couldn't sleep. She decided to search for answers herself. She had heard whispers about an old, forbidden book hidden in the village library's basement. The book, they said, held the truth about the sorcerer and his curse. Chapter 2, The Forbidden Book. The library was dark and silent as Eleanor crept inside. With a lantern in hand, she found a hidden door at the back of the building. The stairs beyond led her to a dusty room filled with ancient books. After hours of searching, she found it. A black leather-bound book with silver lettering. The title read, The Moonlight Curse. As she opened the book, strange symbols glowed faintly on the pages. The story spoke of a sorcerer who once lived in the nearby mountains. He had been betrayed by the villagers long ago, and in his anger, cast a curse. On nights of the full moon, anyone who ventured into the forest would never return. Eleanor shivered but couldn't stop reading. The final pages spoke of a way to break the curse. It required a brave soul to enter the sorcerer's lair and retrieve a magical amulet. Chapter 3, The Journey Begins. Determined to help her village, Eleanor prepared for her journey. She packed food, a small knife, and the book. At dawn, she set off toward the cursed forest. The villagers watched her in silence, their eyes filled with fear and pity. The forest was eerily quiet. No birds sang, and no animals stirred. Shadows danced between the trees, and the air felt heavy. Eleanor clutched the book tightly and followed the map it contained. After hours of walking, she reached an ancient stone bridge. On the other side, a figure waited. It was an old man dressed in rags. "Turn back, child," he warned. "The sorcerer's curse is not meant to be broken." Eleanor stood firm. "I must save my village." The old man sighed and handed her a small vial of glowing liquid. "This may help you, but be careful. The sorcerer's power is strongest under the full moon." Chapter 4, The Sorcerer's Lair. As night fell, Eleanor reached the mountain. The entrance to the sorcerer's lair was a dark cave, its walls covered in glowing runes. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside. The air was cold, and whispers echoed around her. Shadows moved on their own, forming shapes that disappeared as quickly as they came. Eleanor's heart pounded, but she pressed on. At the center of the lair, she found a grand chamber. The Moonlight Sorcerer stood before her, his figure cloaked in silver light. His eyes glowed like stars, and his voice was like thunder. "Why have you come here?" he demanded. Eleanor gathered her courage. "I've come to break your curse." The sorcerer laughed, a sound both beautiful and terrifying. "Many have tried, and all have failed. What makes you think you will succeed?" Eleanor held up the book. "I know about the amulet. I know it can end this." The sorcerer's expression darkened. "Then you must prove your worth. Face my trials, and the amulet shall be yours." Chapter 5, The Trials. The first trial was of courage. Eleanor was led to a chamber filled with her worst fears. Shadows transformed into monstrous shapes, each more terrifying than the last. But she remembered the old man's vial. Drinking the glowing liquid, she felt her fear fade. With a steady heart, she passed the trial. The second trial was of wisdom. She was presented with a riddle that seemed impossible to solve. But as she pondered, she remembered the stories her grandmother told. The answer lay in a tale from her childhood. She spoke the answer aloud, and the path forward opened. The final trial was of kindness. She found a wounded bird trapped in a cage. To free it, she had to give up her knife, her only weapon. Trusting in her heart, she let the bird go. In return, it transformed into a golden key. Chapter 6: The Amulet. With the key, Eleanor unlocked a hidden door and found the amulet resting on a pedestal. It shone with a soft silver light. But as she reached for it, the sorcerer appeared. "You have passed my trials," he said. "But one challenge remains. Will you use the amulet to destroy me or free me?" Eleanor hesitated. She had seen the pain in the sorcerer's eyes. "You cast the curse because you were hurt. If I free you, will you promise to lift it?" The sorcerer nodded. "I swear it." Eleanor placed the amulet around his neck. The chamber filled with light, and the sorcerer's form began to change. He became a man, weary but free of his anger. Chapter 7: The Curse is Broken. The forest came alive as the curse lifted. Birds sang and the air grew warm. The villagers, seeing the change, rejoiced. Eleanor returned as a hero, but she carried a quiet understanding of the sorcerer's pain. The sorcerer, now living as a humble man, stayed in the village, helping those in need. His magic became a source of healing rather than harm. Eleanor often visited him, and together they shared stories, not of curses, but of hope and forgiveness. The end. Thanks for watching English Language Academy. Subscribe now.